Hey y'all. It's been a minute since my last video. 3 weeks. I'm sorry for that. I have a few excuses that I will go over in a little bit. But welcome back to, I would say, this week's episode, but these shits are not even coming out weekly no more. Anyway, welcome back to this episode of the Four Verticals podcast. I'm your host, Maurice Phipps. Damn, it's really been 3 weeks since I turned this microphone on and recorded a video. Partially, that's my fault, but if it means anything, I was supposed to be back about a week ago, and then I got sick. So, the 2 week break, yeah, that's my fuck up. And then I got sick after a weekend of partying, which is always fun, getting sick after having a real nice time. And I got sick during the week too. So it was like, fuck, I was going into work just feeling like shit and then coming back home. I really wanted to have a video out Friday, was too sick to even like get out of bed really. Saturday came and went. I went to work yesterday and I was like, just barely, still a little under the weather, but I woke up today feeling fine. So yeah, we back. I'm gonna have videos more consistently on the channel again. Don't intend on taking any more 3 week breaks, but if you know me, I'm probably gonna take a few more 3 week breaks in the future, but I don't plan on taking any right now. I do want to get some videos out, get some get y'all watching and put some content out. So this episode, we're gonna talk about it. We're gonna talk about a few things. Okay, we're gonna start off with, and this news isn't super topical anymore. We're gonna start off with this Ja Morant situation. If you've been living under a rock, Ja Morant has been in the media a lot, and not for him playing basketball. There was an incident where it was alleged that he beat up a 17-year-old kid. There was an incident alleged that one of members in his crew or in his camp or whatever had aimed at a fan with a weapon with a beam on it. Some other shit had happened, and then this most recent thing that happened was Ja Morant being seen in a nightclub on Instagram. Maybe it was Instagram Live, maybe it was his Instagram story, and he flashes a gun, or what at least appeared to be a gun, in the camera, and then posts it to Instagram. Right, that got him suspended from the team indefinitely. They haven't announced any return for Ja Morant. They got him investigated by the league to see like where he had the gun, when he had the gun. Because if they wanted to make sure he didn't have the gun on the team plane, because if he had the weapon on the team plane, then that's like an automatic suspension. We don't know how long the suspension would have been, but yeah, he would have got suspended for some games. Would have had to sit for a minute. What else happened? I think another situation had cropped up in the media a few days ago. Oh, and then the most recent thing, which was photos of him in a strip club, surfaced to the public. So the strip club he was in, where he flashed a gun, for whatever reason, pictures of him alone in a strip club with a stripper on him, like, got leaked to the public. Don't know what that's about. But yeah, so now you caught up on the Ja Morant situation. I've wanted to give my opinions on this for a minute, which is kind of the reason I'm so annoyed that I got sick when I did, because now this isn't as topical, but I'm still going to talk about it anyway. I've seen a few things that have rubbed me the wrong way about this entire situation, and I'm going to get into that later. First, let's talk about Ja Morant. Ja Morant, fantastic basketball player. Great basketball player. I believe he's 24 years old. So yeah, a fantastic basketball player. His entire career ahead of him. Young, super loud, super boisterous, super cocky, super confident in his skills. I enjoy Ja Morant. I got a Ja Morant jersey in my closet right now as we speak. Ja Morant is an adult who can deal with the consequences of his own stupid decisions. I say that to say the reaction that I've seen from people on the internet and people on television, just the amount of blame, like trying to assess blame to different spaces that isn't Ja Morant is really annoying me. You have people bringing up that he's from a bad neighborhood. You have people bringing up that one of the high school he went to was one of the worst in, I believe he's from South Carolina, so one of the worst in the state or whatever, yada yada yada. This man is like, he's in his, at this point, he's not in his early 20s, he's in his mid 20s. He's been a millionaire for at least a few years now. He's not in college anymore. I know he has a kid because he had a kid for like 2 years. You know, this a grown man. We don't need to babysit him. We don't need to handhold him and say, oh, he made a mistake and this isn't something that's gonna damage his future. Nah, bro. He fucked up. He fucked up. Whatever consequences come after him fucking up, you have to deal with those. As an adult, which he is, he knows the potential consequences of him getting caught with a gun on a team plane heading to Denver from Memphis. He knows the consequences of, potentially all of these situations coming out against him and, his name being dragged through the mud. He is aware of all of these. Not to mention, he's not a child. Like, he's an adult. I don't understand. Maybe it's just me. But I'm not even gonna go there. But I don't understand why we have to try to assess blame to everybody but the person who is involved in everything. All the bullshit that's been in the news. You talk about, oh, he beating up on some 17-year-old kid. I don't even know what the situation was for that. I believe it was something regarding they were playing basketball and Ja Morant had got hit or something like that, right? That's just not cool. Whatever consequences came of that, which I don't think there were any because there was no proof or anything or whatever, Ja Morant would have had to deal with that. You don't think Ja Morant was aware that beating up on a 17-year-old kid allegedly is not something that an NBA player should do? That could potentially come back to bite him in the ass and cost him money and cost him the lifestyle that he's worked so hard for. Come on now. We don't have to do this. We don't have to infantilize Ja Morant like he's some woe is me. He's the main character and he has to, make the right decisions every time. No, because that's just not, people don't act that way. People fuck up. And it is what it is. People fuck up. People fuck up all the time. As long as you don't keep fucking up, I don't care. I just had to mention that because I don't like the reception from one side saying oh, Ja Morant, he's this bad character. He's this bad person. Shut up. You don't know him. I don't know him. I don't know if he's a terrible person. I don't know if he's a great person. I don't know if he's a piece of shit. I don't know if he's the second coming of Jesus Christ. You know what I'm saying? But I do know that whatever decision Ja Morant made, Ja Morant is going to have to live with the consequences of Ja Morant's decision. You know who's not? Maurice. I apologize if you can hear that in the background. Maurice not going to have to deal with the consequences of Ja Morant flashing a gun on Instagram. You want to know why? Because Maurice not Ja Morant. Maurice don't care. Maurice is only talking about this because it's sports news and it's topical and this is a sports podcast. You see what I'm saying? So, as for Ja Morant, stop being a fucking idiot. That's all I have to say to Ja Morant. Stop being a fucking idiot. You're not a child. You're not going to continue to get pass after pass after pass for this shit coming up in the news and your name being attached to it. I think I just read something on Twitter, and that this isn't like fact or anything, but Powerade is potentially pulling the plug on their Ja Morant sponsorship that they were going to announce or whatever. So whether that's true or not, if it is true, damn, Ja Morant, you just played your way out of free millions by being a dumbass. And if it's not true, imagine potentially playing yourself out of free millions because you want to flash a gun on Instagram and look cool or to whoever. Nah, bro. You bugging out. You bugging out. That's all I got to say about Ja Morant. And that's all I got to say about the situation, honestly. I was going to go somewhere else with the conversation, but I don't really feel like dealing with that right now. Ja Morant, get your shit together. And that's all I got to say on that. Now, let's talk about something that's really, really pissing me off. If you thought I got a little heated over the Ja Morant conversation, this is really gonna annoy me, right? The NBA MVP. If you haven't heard, the NBA season is coming to a close. We about 68, 70 games, 68, 69, 70 games into the regular season. And we don't have that much to go. So the end of season awards, they getting talked about. Who's going to be All-NBA? Who's an All-NBA guard? Who is an MVP candidate? Who's DPOI? Stuff like that. For, I would say, a good majority of the season, if you had asked me who my MVP was, I would have said Nikola Jokic. There was a stretch between maybe December through, maybe the month of potentially November through December, or November through like January, where I thought Nikola Jokic was damn near the best player in the league, damn near the best player in the world. Since then, he's cooled off a little bit. He's still like phenomenal. But I'm not here to gush over Nikola Jokic. I'm here to talk about the MVP award and the problem with the MVP award. Now, this was going to be a separate video I wanted to make, but because it's so like loud and everybody's talking about it right now, I'm gonna include this short segment on the podcast. I still do want to make this video, so keep your eyes out for that in the near or not so near future, depending on if I take another 3-week break. Right? So boom, the NBA MVP award. For the entire life cycle of the NBA MVP award, there has been no consistent like checklist to who wins the MVP award. For a while, it was best player on the best team. Sometimes it's best player in the league, narrative driven, like who has the best story around them. Sometimes it's, I guess that's the two. Like those are the two like main. So best player on the best team in the league, or one of the best teams in the league, and best player who has the best narrative around them. Those have been like the two main ways that the MVP has been given out. When Nikola Jokic won his first MVP, I believe they were the first seed, and it was him, Embiid, and Steph Curry in the MVP conversation. In my opinion, I would have given that MVP to Jokic as they did, so I didn't have a problem with that one. Last season, he won the MVP as a 6th seed, which I didn't like at all. I didn't like that. I thought that the MVP last season should have went to Giannis. I thought Giannis was clearly like the MVP of the season, and I think it came down to Jokic, Embiid, and Giannis. 1, 2, and 3 for that. So Jokic is now a 2-time MVP. I don't see a problem with Jokic being a 2-time MVP. I do see a problem with people trying to make it out to be that Jokic is this media darling and the media just loves him and he's just gonna win the MVPs even though he doesn't deserve them. I don't know if you watch basketball, but if you watch the Nuggets game, and I've watched plenty this season, I watched plenty of the Nuggets games, Jokic is like genuinely a top 5 player in the league, top 5 player in the world. I don't get where you're coming from, where you just think that Jokic is just so overrated and his defense is just so bad and he's just not this MVP caliber player. Like, Use your eyes, bro. This is the best team in the West, led by Nikola Jokic. That's not a coincidence. And that's not by accident either. Jokic is genuinely one of the best players in the league with one of the most unique skill sets we've ever seen from a player in general. So you got this crop of people who are just like, Jokic didn't deserve any of his MVPs, and he's just so overrated. And then when you add those people in with the Embiid fans, and we're gonna talk about the Embiid fans. When you add those people in addition to the Embiid fans, it just makes the NBA MVP discourse so toxic and so like I just don't want to talk about it. I really wish that they would decide who the MVP was like today, and so we wouldn't hear anything else about it anymore this regular season, because the MVP award has always come with a little bit of controversy, but now it's just to the point where it's just, bro, shut the fuck up about your favorite player being the MVP. We don't care. Like we don't care, bro. Let's get to the Embiid fans. By far, some of the most insecure sports fans I've ever come in contact with are specifically Joel Embiid fans that shit on Nikola Jokic every chance they get. It's like, so the league is trying to establish a rivalry between Jokic and Embiid. Rightfully so, because they are the two best centers in the league. They in opposite conferences, and the only how they would meet up in the playoffs would be in the finals, which I would love for that to happen, by the way. But I digress. Embiid fans take it another step and actively shit on Nikola Jokic every chance they get, even when it's not even beneficial to them. My point being, when Jokic earlier in the season, I think on back-to-back games or close to back-to-backs, dropped like 2 40-point triple-doubles, and both of them were wins because he didn't start losing when he recorded a triple-double until very recently, as in like a few days ago. But they would see that and say, oh, well, you know, it's impressive, but hey, Embiid just dropped 60 points, so why do we care about a 40-point triple-double? And like blatantly diminishing all of Jokic's accomplishments and achievements during the season, and just propping up Embiid as just the guy. And to their credit, Embiid is absolutely one of the best players in the NBA. But you don't have to bring somebody else down in order to big your guy up. I've heard more Embiid fans talk about Embiid potentially winning the MVP than them even scratching the Eastern Conference Finals. I've heard zero chatter about the Sixers or Joel Embiid, because these Joel Embiid fans haven't seen him mention the Sixers a lot, but you know they are enamored with the MVP award. They're obsessed with it. They want Joel Embiid to win an MVP award so bad. Ain't heard not a lick about the NBA Finals MVP, which is infinitely more valuable. Argue with someone else. It's don't argue with me on that. But like, sometimes I wish we could go back to 2011, 12, 13. Not because the basketball was so much better, even though I would argue that the basketball was, if not better, like at the same level it is right now. At least with the amount of star talent in the league. Well, no, the star talent has increased, but like the level that the game is played, it's increased. But those were some of my most remembered times, I guess. So it's what I'm trying to say is, I wish we could go back to those times pre social media is literally everywhere, and people could just enjoy the game more, I guess. I guess there were always like trolls and haters and shit, but nowadays it's just so much more annoying and so much more noticeable, and so much more people don't know what they're talking about and don't watch sports because they like sports. They watch sports because they like a certain player, which is nothing wrong with that, but like, You go interact with other people like you. Don't you be weird with the people that like you being weird. I like sports in general, so I'm not gonna try to shit on one of the best players in the league every chance I get because my favorite player plays the same position as them, and my favorite player didn't get the recognition that your favorite player got. Bro? What? What's wrong with you? Get a job. Like, what are we talking about here? So yeah, my main, and also I strayed on a tangent. I guess I had to get that out because that wasn't even my original point where I was going with this topic. And I've spent 20 minutes talking about Ja Morant and the MVP so far. I hope you guys are enjoying this because I still have at least 4 more things I want to talk about during this episode. So this episode's probably going to be an hour long, maybe. But what I originally wanted to talk about with the NBA MVP situation is it's because the inconsistency of how the MVP is given out, it leads to people bitching and complaining that their favorite player is just not, they just don't play basketball the right way for the MVP voters to, consider them as an MVP. Number one, what the fuck do the media know about basketball? Zero. You want to know why I said zero? Because Kendrick Perkins is one of the people. I believe, if I'm mistaken, then I apologize. But Kendrick Perkins has an MVP ballot, or I think he said, I don't know if they give these ballots out to the same people, but I think he said he potentially has a defensive team ballot, like he has a vote for who's on the all defensive team, and he said in a tweet that Anthony Edwards would be on his all defensive team. So yeah, Kendrick Perkins don't know shit about basketball, which I know is a crazy thing to say because Kendrick Perkins played basketball, but there's a distinct difference between playing basketball and analyzing basketball when you're not playing anymore. Kendrick Perkins and all and by NBA standards, he wasn't even that good of a basketball player. He's damn sure not a good NBA analyst. So, like, why is he a person that gets an MVP vote? What the fuck does he know about MVPs? You know what I'm saying? That came off a little harsh. I don't care. That did come off a little harsh, but like, what is, like, Kendrick Perkins is dead ass one of the worst sports analysts I've ever seen. I don't understand how he's still employed by ESPN. I think he's on ESPN. I don't even know because I don't watch the show. But he's like genuinely one of the worst sports analysts, sports whatevers. He's not a journalist, certainly not that. He's by far one of the worst I've ever seen do it. His takes are never consistent. He doesn't really talk, like he talks in like hypotheticals, which is a problem I have with people when I try to have sports discourse. Like, hypotheticals are just hypotheticals. If they didn't happen, why the fuck are we discussing them? But anyway, I don't like Kendrick Perkins. Why is he somebody that gets an MVP vote? If he gets an MVP vote, like, what do these people know about basketball? In my opinion, the NBA should take the NBA MVP and every other single end of season award, take it internally. Adam Silver handpicks a team of 15 people who come up with a set of criteria for who the MVP is, and they go based off that criteria every season, and they decide who the MVP is, and it comes from internal and not 50 fucking journalists who may or may not vote for their favorite player to be MVP because that's their favorite player and they want them to win the MVP award. Like, what are we talking about? I don't understand why the NBA hasn't done that. I think like one of the reasons why the NBA hasn't done that is because after they would do that, they can't like prove that the NBA MVP award isn't rigged, which is something that they would have to do, I believe. So I don't have all the answers to that. And again, I want to make a whole separate video about this, because this is something that I've thought about for a minute now, and it's really annoying. It's really, really annoying having these MVP talks, and it's like, bro, the MVP award is important. It is important, but it's not the most important thing in basketball. We having MVP award talks, and like we're not gonna talk about the playoffs, bro. Like, you're so obsessed with winning MVP. You want the MVP award so bad. Do you want to win a fucking championship, or you just in it for individual success? Like, what do we? I don't know. 25 minutes on two of those topics. Damn, I really had to get that off my chest for both of those. But moving on, let's talk about something that I want to talk about. Let's talk about playoff scenarios for the NBA. So, the NBA standings. I'll just go through 1 through 10 for the Eastern and the Western Conference, because 1 through 8 is a playoff. 9, 10 are play-in spots. So, hold on. Play-in bracket, because I want to get the, all right, FAQ, blah blah blah. All right, so the number one, we're gonna go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 Eastern Conference, and then Western Conference. So, starting with the East, the number 1 team in the East is the Bucks, number 1 seed. Number 2 seed is the Boston Celtics. The number 3 seed is the Philadelphia 76ers. The number 4 seed is the Cleveland Cavaliers. The number 5 seed is the Brooklyn Nets. The number 6 seed is the New York Knicks. The number 7 seed is the Miami Heat. The number 8 seed is the Atlanta Hawks. The number 9 seed is the Toronto Raptors. And the number 10 seed is the Chicago Bulls. Moving on to the Western Conference. The number 1 seed is the Denver Nuggets. The number 2 seed is the Sacramento Kings. The number 3 seed is the Memphis Grizzlies. The number 4 seed is the Phoenix Suns. The number 5 seed is the Los Angeles Clippers. Number 6 seed is the Golden State Warriors. Number 7 seed is the Minnesota Timberwolves. The number 8 seed is the Dallas Mavericks. The number 9 seed is the Utah Jazz. And the number 9 seed is the Utah Jazz. The number 10 seed is the Oklahoma City Thunder. But literally tied with the same record, the number 11 seed Los Angeles Lakers and the number 12 seed New Orleans Pelicans. So, that's 1 through 12 for the Western Conference, but they still have a lot to shake out in their playoffs in general. So, let's just cut it off 1 through 8. For simplicity's sake, we're not going to do anything regarding the play-in tournament. If the playoffs started today, the matchups would be in the East. Milwaukee Bucks versus Atlanta Hawks. Boston Celtics versus Miami Heat. Ooh, Eastern Conference Finals rematch. Philadelphia 76ers versus New York Knicks. And Cleveland Cavaliers versus Brooklyn Nets. Those would be the 4 series in the Eastern Conference. In the Western Conference, it would be as follows: Denver Nuggets versus the Dallas Mavericks, which, that would be a good series. Sacramento Kings versus Minnesota Timberwolves. Memphis Grizzlies versus Golden State Warriors, another rematch. And Phoenix Suns versus Los Angeles Clippers. So, in my humble, gracious opinion, I don't know where I was going with that. In my humble, gracious, all-knowing opinion, I wish I knew all. There are 3 main contenders in the Eastern Conference, and that's the top 3 seeds: the Bucks, the Celtics, and the 76ers. Either of those 3 teams I could see making it all the way to the finals and potentially winning the finals, right? For the Western Conference, it doesn't get, it gets a little harder to determine who's the real contenders. I think that the Nuggets are clearly the best team in the West, second, third best team in the league maybe. And I think that the Suns, with the fully healthy Kevin Durant, are obvious title favorites. You can't just discount them, although Kevin Durant is injured right now. They said he should, or he could potentially be back before the playoffs. He should be back when the playoffs start. So hopefully KD doesn't fucking get hurt again. That sucks. But yeah, assuming it's 1, 2, 3, 4, because that's probably how I have the first round going for the East. 1 seed winning 2 seed, 3 seed, and 4 seed. Then the matchup will be Bucks Cavaliers and Celtics 76ers. Celtics 76ers, that is a series that I desperately want to see. So hopefully none of the teams fuck us over and they all win like they should. I definitely want to see Celtics 76ers. Bucks Cavaliers I don't think would be a great series. I think it'll be entertaining though, and it will be interesting to see how far the Cavaliers are from really contending, because to throw them up against, in my opinion, what's now the best team in the league, you know, that's a real stress test for a team that's only been together for not even a full season, or what would have been 1 full season plus now postseason. So if I'm Cleveland, I know that our championship window probably isn't open yet, but I would actually not mind that Milwaukee Bucks matchup, because it serves us as we get experience playing against a team that has won a championship, and the Bucks have not this exact same roster, but you know the core pieces are still there. What else? It stress tests us to see how far we are from, you know, contending at that level. If we battle it out in a 7-game series, you know, okay, you know, we fix some things, we tighten up, and next season we can walk in as not the 4 seed, maybe the 2 or the 3 seed, or maybe even that 1 seed, because we're not that far apart from the Bucks right now. Or if we get, you know, 4-0 swept, it's maybe we have to retool, or not even retool, just add some more to our roster because Donovan Mitchell wasn't enough. Maybe it's Evan Mobley has to progress more. Maybe it's Darius Garland has to progress more. Stuff like that. So, Cavaliers, in my opinion, are one of the teams to watch during this playoffs, because, you know, this is a really talented roster. Pretty soon, they could be, you know, in that Eastern Conference Finals, knocking on the door to a finals appearance type thing. You know what I'm saying? As far as the rest of the Eastern Conference go, if you look beneath the 5, if you look between underneath the teams that are the 4 seed, what did I just say? If you look underneath the 4 seed and see all the teams that are left, none of those teams are contending for a championship. None of them. Bulls aren't, Raptors aren't, Hawks aren't. Heat fans try to convince themselves that they are. They're not. Knicks fans, great season, you're not contending for a title, and there's no problem with that. But I definitely think that this 1, 2, 3, like, these are really good teams. Probably 3 of the best 5 teams in the league, 3 of the best 4 maybe, and then Nuggets being 2 within that. Actually, that's probably what I would say. It would be Bucks, then Nuggets as the second best team in the league, then Celtics, then 76ers, and then I don't know who the next best team in the league would be. But yeah, so that's the Eastern Conference, which is a lot more easy to predict and not as chaotic as the Western Conference, which we're going to go over right now. Oh boy. Okay, so the Warriors are the 6th seed. I don't think anybody expected that going into this season. The Warriors are the 6th seed. The Phoenix Suns, who have Kevin Durant, who's injured currently, are the 4th seed. They are the biggest wild card to me. Why are they the biggest wild card? Well, I'll tell you right now. Devin Booker and Kevin Durant. That is a good enough 1-2 punch, especially with the way that Devin Booker's been playing these past few games, like these past few weeks. Ever since KD got announced, the KD trade got announced, Devin Booker, he's turned his play up. So if we get in that version of Devin Booker with Kevin Durant, that's good enough to win a championship. And you can't convince me otherwise, right? So they're the biggest what if team, because we have to know what seed they're gonna come in. If they got the matchup, does it really matter what matchup they have? Like if it's 4-5 and the Suns are the 4th seed and the Clippers are the 5 seed, and we get Kawhi, who is at this point, he's fully healthy, he's, you know, turned the corner, he's back to being the superstar player that he is, and then we got Paul George, you add that into the mix, it's like, hey, these are 2 really good teams. What's gonna happen, right? We don't know what's gonna happen in this Western Conference. Look at the 2 seed. are the Sacramento Kings, are they legit? Are they really that good? Or are they going to be the Utah Jazz of this season? Let's even talk about the play-in. I didn't talk about the play-in for the Eastern Conference because it's not as interesting, to be honest. The Lakers are the 11th seed. They just lost to the Knicks, but they were just in like the playoffs. I think they were just the 9th seed, right? Yeah, they were just the 9th seed or something like that. If they go through the playoffs and they win that 7th seed, no, they can't win the 7th seed. If they go into the play-in as the 10th seed or the 9th seed, and they have to play their way into being that 8th seed spot, that means that they face off against the Denver Nuggets. I don't know if you know this, but teams that can score very, very well on the interior in the paint are not a very good matchup for the Denver Nuggets. So now it's like, hey, I know this Lakers team is the 8th seed, but it's like, do we really want to discount how this team is like quite literally set up to beat the Denver Nuggets with LeBron James, who's one of the best paint scorers of all time, Anthony Davis, who when he decides to is a phenomenal scorer in the paint, and then with the improvements that they got from the trade deadline, like this is a really good team. So I know it's the Nuggets and they're the best team in the West, and they have potentially a 3-time MVP on their team, but do we really think that the Lakers are just gonna lose like that? Like, we know most of the time the 1-8 matchup is not competitive, but hey, this could be a very competitive 1 seed, 8 seed matchup is all I'm gonna say, right? Or if that even comes to fruition, because I think that the Lakers could even potentially snatch the 7 seed, depending on how the Mavericks play and the Timberwolves play and the Warriors play and the Clippers, because they only are 2.5 game difference between the Clippers and Lakers. Clippers are the 5 seed, Lakers are the 10 seed. So, excuse me, we still don't know what's up with the Western Conference fully. When the season ends, the day the season ends, I should have a video out like explaining the play-in situation and stuff like that. So, yeah. But that was just a little bit of playoff talk, a little bit of NBA playoff talk. I can't wait for the playoffs this year, especially looking at that Western Conference, because it's a bloodbath over there. Nothing's concrete. Nothing's ever concrete with the playoffs, but nothing's set in stone. Everything's in flux constantly. This Western Conference has been really, really strange this season. We've never really seen, at least in modern times, we haven't seen it this grouped together and be this bad. Quote, I say bad. The Western Conference hasn't been bad per se, but like, it's definitely, if we're used to the Western Conference being the better conference, this year they certainly were not. And this year they certainly would not have been if Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving didn't both get traded to the West. So that's neither here nor there. We done talking about the NBA. Let's talk about Jon Jones, baby. Let's talk about Jon Jones. So this pay-per-view happened like in the middle of me partying, right? So I took me a little break, and I watched the Jon Jones fight. If you guys are not aware of what happened, Jon Jones submitted Cyril Gane within 3 minutes. Jon Jones is now the UFC heavyweight champion. Just like that, he's back. He's back on top. And it sucks so bad that we're not going to see Francis Ngannou versus Jon Jones. I really dislike Dana White for a multitude of reasons. But that is definitely one of the reasons that I dislike Dana White now. Because we're just not going to get that fight. So yeah, that sucks. As for Jon Jones, I mean, at this point, I don't really see how you can dispute that he's the greatest UFC fighter of all time. Well, he's certainly the greatest UFC fighter of all time. He may be the greatest mixed martial artist of all time as well. When you look at Jon Jones's resume, he only has one loss in the UFC, and it was because of illegal elbows that he was using against an opponent that got their ass beat, and it counted as a loss on Jon Jones' record. So yeah, man, Jon Jones, what a fucking fight. Literally lasted like 2.5 minutes. Cyril Gane hit him with I think he kicked him in the dick immediately after the fight started. And then I guess that pissed off Jon Jones. He was like, fuck it, I'm gonna make you tap. And he made him tap. So that's crazy. Congratulations, Jon Jones. There was also, hold on, UFC, I believe that was UFC 285. Yeah, that was UFC 285. Also, the co-main event, Alexa Grasso defeated Valentina Shevchenko by submission in the 4th round to become the new women's flyweight champion. So congratulations to Miss Alexa Grasso. I watched that fight too. That was a pretty good fight as well. When's the next pay-per-view? Oh shit. Oh, that's crazy. Okay, so the next UFC pay-per-view, UFC 286, is the rematch between Leon Edwards and Kamaru Usman. And it's this Saturday. I did not know it was this Saturday. Wow. Hopefully I can get a video out on Sunday giving my reactions. If not, it'll just be in a podcast episode or whatever. But wow, I didn't know that. All right, UFC 286, Saturday, March 18th. Yeah, hell yeah, let's go. I completely forgot about that. Like, no bullshit, I completely forgot about that. Wow, we getting some good MMA. All right, enough MMA talk. Let's talk about this is going to be the final topic or final topics. Let's talk about Lamar Jackson. So I awoke to heartbreaking news, as every Ravens fan did. Yes, I'm a Ravens fan. Lamar Jackson's my favorite player in the league. The Ravens would be using the non-exclusive franchise tag on Lamar Jackson. If you don't know what that means, this is what that means. That means Lamar Jackson is free to go negotiate contract offers with other teams. If he sees one he likes, the Ravens are allowed to match that offer. If they choose not to match that offer, then he will sign with that new team, and that new team will in return give the Ravens 2 first-round picks. When I saw this, I thought for sure Lamar Jackson would not be a Raven next season. But then it started to make a little more sense. It's like, okay, they clearly have a discrepancy in contract talks. The non-exclusive is a way for, Lamar to see what the market's offering him. Obviously the Ravens will match, and they get a contract situation sorted out that way. The weirdest thing happened though. Within like 30 minutes, no bullshit, NFL teams were quite literally saying that, hey, we're not gonna go after Lamar Jackson. Like, teams that desperately needed a quarterback. I think the Raiders said it, the Commanders said it. One team like retweeted something that was like, hey, we're not going after Lamar Jackson, which is really fucking weird. Who else said that? I was gonna say the Panthers, but the Panthers just traded for the number 1 pick. The Bears got a lot for that trade too. But anyway, what else happened? Like, it was the Raiders, a bunch of teams that were just like, yeah, we're not going after Lamar Jackson, which was like, what the fuck do you mean you're not going after Lamar Jackson? At first, I was like, collusion. This is collusion. They trying to make an example out of my boy. And it was like, okay. That is potentially one way you can look at this situation. A more reasonable thing to take from this situation is opposing GMs don't want to do the hard work for the Ravens. They know that whatever they come up with, as outrageous as it is, if it gets offered to Lamar Jackson, they want to keep Lamar Jackson. So they're going to say, hey, fuck it, we'll match it. We'll match it. We might even throw a few extra M's on top of it. We want you here. We know that. And GMs are like, yeah, we're not gonna do that for you. You have this problem, you're gonna have to deal with it. Which means Lamar Jackson's potentially staying in Baltimore, but it's like, I understand the business move of it and the competitive move of it, because like, hey, this your quarterback. We're not gonna do the work for you. You gotta do that. But it's like, I don't know. Do you really take that chance at a free agent like Lamar Jackson and just say, no, we're not gonna take the chance? I don't know. I don't like this on either side, especially because more than likely, this is all speculation, more than likely what Lamar Jackson's asking for, he's absolutely worth, right? And this is all the Browns' fault for giving Deshaun Watson $230 million fully guaranteed. Fully guaranteed. It's likely that Lamar Jackson is just asking for similar numbers to what Deshaun Watson got, fully guaranteed. And the Ravens are like, we can't do that. Well, why can't you do that? They did it. Truth be told, if there was any one quarterback who I was gonna be was like, sure, they're gonna be the first team, they're gonna be the first quarterback to get fully guaranteed money, it would have been Patrick Mahomes. Deservedly so. Because he wasn't the person to set the standard, I don't think NFL teams want this to be the new standard. And so I think they're doing everything in their power to like, hey, this is a one-time thing. The Browns fucked up. This is not something that's going to keep happening. I don't know if the NFLPA can do anything about this, but I've heard numerous times that the NFLPA fucking sucks. Something like this would never happen in the NBA. Number one, because like damn near all major contracts are guaranteed, and two, the players have a lot more control in the NBA, which is understandable because there's a lot less roster spots in the NBA. But yeah, so that's that on the Lamar Jackson saga. We still don't know what's happening. As of now, he's franchise tagged. Hopefully he decides to play this season and they can get a deal done during the season and he doesn't go into the off season just a naked free agent, which would be insane. But yeah. So the final thing I want to talk about it's NFL free agency day one. Just want to go over some things that happened. Lamar Jackson, he got franchise tagged. Derek Carr, 4 years, $150 million. This came out, I think, yesterday. Was it yesterday? Or no, I think it happened today because I think he might have signed the contract yesterday because he got released. He ain't traded or anything, right? So, boom. Derek Carr, 4 years, $150 million. He's now on the New Orleans Saints. Javon Hargrave, 4 years, $84 million. He's a fucking 49er. Are you serious? Like, how much more help do the 49ers need on their defensive line? This is bullshit, bro. What are we talking about? This is fucking crazy. Their defensive line is absolutely stupid. I don't see how they're getting all of this cap space either. Look at who they have on a contract, right? They just signed Javon Hargrave, 4 years, $84 million. They got Nick Bosa under contract, which I don't remember if he got paid yet. But if he didn't get paid yet, he's up for a payday. They got Armstead under contract. They got McCaffrey under contract. Deebo Samuel. They just came to a contract extension not too long ago. Who else do they got? The highest paid offensive lineman in the league, Trent Williams. They got him under contract. I don't understand why they're just magically getting all this fucking cap space. It's bullshit and I hate it. I hate it. Don't make sense, bro. It's fucking crazy. I saw Javon Hargrave to the Niners, and I actually got visibly pissed off that this was allowed to happen. What the fuck do you mean he signed with the 49ers? That 49ers defensive line is literally the best unit in football. I don't think you can argue against it. Moving on. Saquon Barkley got franchise tagged. Jawan Taylor, offensive tackle for the Jaguars. He signed a 4-year, $80 million deal with the Chiefs. So there's that. Jason Kelce, he's sticking around for one more season with the Eagles. We don't know what his deal is, but we know that he's going to be an Eagle. Mike McGlinchey went from the 49ers to the Denver Broncos. A really good move by the Denver Broncos because Mike McGlinchey is really, really good at his job. 5 years, $87.5 million. What are some other things that happened? Cornerback Cameron Sutton, he's a Lion, 3 years, $33 million. Jimmy G to the Raiders, 3 years, $67.5 million. Tony Pollard got franchise tag. Ben Powers, former offensive lineman for the Ravens, signed with the Broncos, 4 years, $52 million. That's a big loss for us. Ben Powers was very, very good. That really sucks. That really, really sucks. I wish I didn't have to read off that. That actually, that made me sad. Saying that made me so sad. Like, what the hell? But I'm looking over this list. I don't see very many other like notable free agency moves. Yeah, there are no notable other notable free agency moves as of today. This is being recorded on Monday, so this is only day one. But with that being said, I'm back. That was this week's episode of the Four Verticals podcast. If you enjoyed it, like, subscribe, comment what your favorite part is. If you made it to the end of this video, thank you, because this is a 51-minute video and easily the longest I've done in like a few months. So yeah, and I did this all in one take. So yeah, thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.